Okay, we're here back at part two, the off the cuff. I'm sharing my experiences of what happened. I talk about having experiences. I did teachings on. I definitely connect to always talking about intuition, this inner sanctuary of things that you have within you that really will you can enhance your intuition, your empathic. I did a study of the breakdown of the clairvoyance and all five of the clairs. So experience and knowing and having experiences will change your knowings, because this is about knowing, not believing. We become knowers, right? Experiences. Even do things, even do science experience with yourself. You can, of what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what foods work for you, how you sleep, what you might need to do, things you need to tweak. You're always doing these. I do. In awareness, right? Be aware. But anyways, so we left. I had met this older people, started going to this older ministry, but these people had opened doors for me. Just a little bit of the background, right? We went from where I was at in 92, what happened in the first video. This is part two of it. The second part was about what was going on after that fact, right? What happened after that was I was there, and then by 2009, a bunch of the people, because they were older, had died off, and we were down just a few. Our ministry, we had some new people, but the people that were the foundation of that were no longer with us. I'm recording, it's 1-1 right now. Definitely see synchronicities and glitches all the time. That's why I hold that is 111, 111. Numbers run wild, right? If your synchronicities hit with these numbers are popping up, take notice, take heed. But anyway, so I have this dream. I've had a few of these, but this dream in 2008, 9, what seemed like so real. I lived and went through maybe four different centuries. It seemed like the 16, 17, 18, 1900s. And I walked through there, and I was there and partook in it. And as I was walking through it, the people were looking at me when I would walk about, the eyes wide open. They're looking at me like, who are you? Where are you at? Who are you? Are you supposed to, and my feeling is, why are they looking at me like this? Why are they definitely taking notice of me when I walk by them? And like I said, this appeared to be four different time places, I would say, in 16, 17, 18, 1900s. And I would walk through these different eras and these different times and see different things. I would see older buildings. A lot of it appeared European. Definitely castles, older buildings, the cobblestone streets, and people dressed as according to the century that I was walking through, and seeing it, but also seeing that I was going through these. And then as we went to the end of that century, the 18th and 19th century, I was now being persecuted for the things I was saying, and I was thrown in like this dungeon by the Queen. And this changed because this dream was one of my very first, that it was so real. And it was like, it lasted like a movie, but it seemed like it lasted forever. And it was just however long it really was in that astral plane, right? And I remember seeing like this building saying Larice, something about Larice, which I also wonder, what is that? And it wasn't Larissa, it was Larice. And I kept looking, where was that word going to show up in my life that I would identify? Because there was something about that. There was something powerful about Larice on this building that said in the stream. But anyways, this sparked me for change, which ended up me thinking I was going to go somewhere and needed to do something different than where I was working at. What I was doing was not good enough. And I needed change, and I needed growth, and I needed all this stuff that would go with it, right? Right? And it happened, right? And I ended up starting this ministry, at which I was co-helping with one of my best love him elders, Scott Paris, at that time. right? I ended up meeting a wonderful woman who's still my wife in this process. She went with me. She made the change. She took up her bed and walked. She went with me. We left California. First time I was a native California all my life, and I went to the state of Washington with my friend that I had the original thing with, and we had opened up a ministry. And as we opened up a ministry, me knowing better, knowing that the ministry we preach isn't going to bring you numbers and a lot of money at that time, because it was about numbers. You're not going to get numbers when you're speaking a higher truth. The numbers decrease, right? So I started noticing that we were getting people, and I was teaching them from a very low level, but the home I was driving was showing them how everything Christ was in you. Really driving that home for like a year and a half there. As I'm driving that home, that meaning Christ in you, people are starting to revelate. They're starting to understand things. They're starting to see things differently on a very beginning level. And I was keeping it at that time, which I thought was, the deeper where I was at that time, I didn't really go there with them. I didn't go there with them. I was going into a lot of Christ in you, a lot of scriptures of the New Testament showing you Christ in you, the hope of glory, just really banging home Christ is in you, Christ is in you, Christ is in you, to bring that reality to dwell within them, that God, Christ is within you. But this even ended up not being what I thought it would be with the other parts of the leadership. There was another woman involved too that really was behind this, that connected with Anthony, that was open for doing some things differently she wanted to do, which would take money. And she had money, but it really wasn't her money. It was her husband's money, and he went down for it. But anyway, that's a whole different story. She wanted to do things, not necessarily that I was against, because I said, if this is be the will, I'm open for it, but I'm really here to bring people to know that Christ is in them, to waken up to their stuff. Well, I had met another guy in the state through this process, and we even combined having service together and meeting together from our meetings and going to their services, and another part of Washington who had established something for a long time. He's an older gentleman, definitely older, and me and him really connected on the levels of revelation knowledge at the sub, more than anybody else at the other church except Anthony, but definitely except my friend. Who's definitely connected to me, but then he was definitely on a revelation knowledge where we were just like, he could think it and we would think it at the same time and go, look at each other and go, booyah, But so definitely came out of the fact that going there, and then as things started not being established in the place we were, even a separation from leadership, because they really wanted to do things a certain way, which was to me more something you would have to establish first, because we're talking about moving fast when all you have is 15 people. I mean, you can't go get a multi-million-dollar building with 15 people. And some of the gifts and some of the things she wanted to, she would start getting upset, because especially one lady had said, what if this is really not about, told her, this is not about your vision, but about us just waking up. And that could be true, and I didn't disagree. I didn't make a big deal, but with them I was saying, you stepped on a nail, but you really told the truth. You probably stepped on her toe, but I actually felt what you said. It definitely went down from the breakup of this woman and doing my own thing with the people, because they all followed me except couple. And we were having home services in one other lady's house and in our house we were living in. But anyways, that kind of died off as people started just division. Some people were there because she promised them jobs and there was no jobs happening that she had promised. She kind of got, definitely immature and got ahead of herself. But the purpose for me to go into Washington is not what I thought. The next level of what I thought was I suffered. That was initiation to me. Now I suffered through that, not working the way I expected it to work. But what did work was an expansion, because soon after that, and when I went to the other place, because he asked me, come co-pastor. I'm a little bit older. I need your help. They were more established, had more people, and help me, because you are the only one I know that aligns exactly with what I'm saying. You flow with me And he was, like I said, he was an older gentleman in his early 70s at the time. And I'm like, you're probably looking at late 40s at the time. So I go and we go and establish, and definitely the door opens for me. But it starts also having some people picking sides between me and him. And I go to the next level because this is when I start meditating and reading things outside of Christianity, and started going into meditating very, very heavily. I had time. Doors had opened. I was looking for a job, and myself told me, nope. I was like, I have an interview. No. I heard it and I knew it, because I'm not one not to work. I'm not lazy like that. I've worked my whole life and suffered for the work I did physically, working in mental health and inpatient unit. Definitely some of the things I went through, I feel now almost like a crash dummy. It's definitely had some takedowns and throwdowns in the past in mental health, but to stop there. But anyways, through this process, I started meditating more. I started reading other stuff. I started waking up even to a different level. I had experiences where in this one day, I remember intensely that vibration became similar to what had happened to us in 1992 in his bedroom initially, where I was driving home and I was doing 65, 70 on the freeway, short way. It wasn't going a long distance. And I was like, why does it feel like it's 20 miles an hour? And she goes, my wife says, that's what I feel. Why does it seem so slow? And I realized that what was happening, we were in a different vibration where everything in this physical seemed just very slow, like dragging. Well, we had this brother in this church, right? Got ill. So we went there to see him, pray for him. But I'm going past where I'm at this time. And I'm meditating like you would not, learning to meditate, reading Eastern stuff, reading Buddhist stuff, open the past the Western religion of that, even though I had went past a lot of the dogma already, but it was going to the next level, being opening and implementing deep breathing and meditation at this time. I soared after that because I was meditating and I had time as much as an hour to 2 hours a day. This other brother would come over and meditate with me, and he would too. And that's when it started opening, and I started reading other books, and then I started having revelation. And the revelation, we invited this guy from Georgia who was very good but controversial in the kingdom message to some people who were still kind of, to me, not to me, they were holding dogma. I won't name their names. And turned the kingdom message and wanted to turn it as little Rome. Dogma. That's just facts. They hear this, you did. You weren't ready to keep going. You wanted to take the kingdom message and then encapsulate it into religious. Not me. I'm not the one. And my attitude was like that with a lot of people. They had seen, especially people who were in it for a while, wanted to encapsulate. And I said, that's a religion. But this one guy was not. He was from Georgia. He came and he spoke and he broke down. He took a chalkboard and broke down something I had been wrestling with for a bit, and not really wrestling. I was ready to concede to it, but I had understood that a lot of this historical stories, this book, this Bible, right, really was not what we thought it was. It was allegorical, like it said it was. Parables, like it said it was, not really historical. And I started seeing that these guys are not really historical guys that you're promoting into me. They're not historical. They're stories, even in the Old Testament. And then he brought out that day, he made a sun chart. He made a chart, astrological chart. And he showed the 12 disciples, the 12 zodiac signs, and Jesus as the sun. And in that moment, it went, bam, I got it. I said, it is. He is an allegorical figure. The Christ is within you. You've been preaching this. You've been wrestling with this. You've even talked to a few people about it, not in depth, because this would step on some toes on certain people. But the reality is you did that. And when this happened, it woke me up to the next level. And I really knew when I walked out that day, I can't keep doing this. Not on a level where I'm making it almost real when I know it's not historical. And it just started moving away from a lot of the dogma, right? I was just giving up dogma through the years and the decade, actually 2 decades at this time, nearly 2. And this was 2012 now. So I made a decision, we made a decision to come back to California, which was our home base, and we did. And through that process, 2012, I just kept waking up and waking up and waking up and waking up. And I understood that no longer was it about, and then I started running into people like Bill Donahue. That was one thing in the church they got mad because Bill Donahue was telling you it was all allegorical. It was astrological. It was allegorical. It was stories, and he was on it, almost like the guy that came and visited us and brought this out. And I had started listening to Bill, and that was for some people. Oh no, I don't want to hear Bill. What's his name? Bill Donahue from actually New York, I believe. At that time, very much helped the transition. And then I started seeing people like as I'm revelating and getting more, opening up to Eastern and starting to read stuff. And I'm like, this story and this older Eastern religious story sounds like this story in the Bible. Obviously, they took this from this. That's what I started realizing. They would take a story, make it their culture. And then it was from this story, though, was the original. So obviously, you're following it. The old people didn't see that. These old didn't see it. Oh, you're taking away my creativity. They didn't go into this as being a job. They said this is a story that's good for you. A lot of it being verbal, oral traditions, and you apply it to your culture, and the names change in your culture. Set is set. Set's Satan. And that's a whole different thing. Even when you get into that, how the stories is yin and yang, opposite of the two opposites, dark and light and dark, right? So what am I saying here? I started seeing that everything I had been taught in Western minds, it wasn't original. It definitely had something in it that was controlling factor, and I kind of known that. I had known about governmental stuff since I was in my late 20s. Believe it or not, this brother in the church who actually has some Jewish roots shared a book with me called Don't Dare Call It Conspiracy, and I read that way back when I was in my late 20s, and it kind of fed me to what I kind of always felt, that the government was ham-hocking us, right? Come on. In which if you do, the information's there. If you don't know, it's because you don't want to know. You don't want to decipher. A lot of times people don't want to face that which is real, so they'll be wrong. They don't want to face their own darkness. But anyways, I started seeing this, and I started aligning this, how they even used religion for power and prestige, that always a political movement will always have religious ties to it. Goes together, first program. Well, anyways, so as I'm growing, I'm just expanding. I'm Santos Bonacci, Jordan Maxwell, Seven Bomar, and on I can keep going of people bringing stuff to more, right? To even some of the people now, because I was always good at venturing into some different, not one understanding, but multiple layers of understandings, and how all these science actually connects and is not compartmentalized, separate from each other, but actually coincide together. They're connected. We just have been divided so much. The left doesn't know what the right hand does. Purposely. But anyways, that's a whole different story. To where I'm in now, it really woke me up. But the experiences I had, even to this day, if things happen, if I went into it, some of the dreams, visions I had so many dreams. I've had so many dreams, and I know when these dreams are hitting on this level, it's not just you're going to another place with your spirit and the aspect of your multi-dimensional 7 core aura chakra system, that's 7 levels of you, and how this is connected, even getting greater understanding on that. I mean, guys that are like Seven Bomar, Brother Sanchez, Archaics, even other people. I definitely have connected into a lot more Gnostic teaching now too, and I got some Gnostic books and the lost scriptures found. What is it? The Nag Hammadi. I forgot. I'm not pronouncing it right, but those which were found in 47, 48. That many of the religious were worried about what they were going to find, because they even tried to get it and they didn't give it to them, which was a great job, and then printed it, and we got the information now. Not looking for belief systems to the place now. So it's just the continuous expansion once you get in. You don't stop growing, learning, evolving. If you want to use that word, expanding, evolving, unlayering, untangling self, experiencing self, going through the ups and downs of relationships, how you are, the thing that drives you back into your darkness, that your weaknesses, knowing self so well that when you know self, you know God, right? This process that I walked, now I'm seeing people getting this, not in not in a 20-year process like it was 20 years ago for me, from 92 to early 90s to 2012, to that process and the expansion, even from 12 to where we are now, 24, how I just kept expanding and growing, and that anchor was there, and that connection was there, and the revelation knowledge never ceased. And I started trusting my intuition even more and more and more. My tuition is my intuition. When you pay your intuition by trusting it and using it more and more, you're paying for it. That's how you accumulate degrees, right? Knowing this kind of basic stuff, knowing that degrees were fire, heat, degrees of heat. So when you tell me you get a degree, does it have fire, heat? Is it part of an element, or is it part of a program? That's why, people say, oh, you go hard, but people make more money getting, but that's not a degree. It's not a degree, because there's no fire and no heat in it. All it is a promotion for you to get a better job. And you have to pay tuition, which is a replica of the real deal, which is in tuition. That's why I know, and I also know I know the background, the things just that I know now. I know the background of the educational system comes from Prussia, and the 1907 board meeting where they wanted to make you animal husbandry and not expand you, didn't want you to be a creator, didn't want you to have knowledge, didn't want you to know philosophy, just wanted you to be a follower. Remember, I did the thing on the word of the day about follow. So accumulating this, and so you say, well, where are you at? Do you got it all? No, I don't know nothing. What I know and experience is still just a drop in the bucket, which creates a ripple effect, which the ripple effect goes like this, right? Like an ear, like a speaker. The ripple effect. So you say, what are you saying? I'm saying that this process of my experience I had to share also tells me that we've been through some fractured things that's happened in our life as children. I could go into different things, how letting go and going through it and not running from it is the healing, and it's a continuous healing on areas for me even today. I know what my weakness is. I know where and not running from, because the religion, the Rome religion, has you, everything's outside of you. God's outside of you. The devil's outside of you. The devil's within you. That's the yin and yang story. Ever before there was a Rome, this is what the ancients taught. This is what the so-called pagans, go look up that word, pagan. It's a free thinker. That's what it means. It's a free thinker. All the words, they demonize people who are doing who knew stuff. Why they had to subvert them into not following the religion and the dogma. They killed them. Let's be honest. We get fractured in having all these belief systems that everything's outside of us and that we're not worthy, and that you're a little lost sinner and not worthy. You're a scumbucket. Then when I start looking at we did the demiurge. We did the demiurge. How this Old Testament demiurge, angry, mad, you're not good enough, you're lacking, go ahead, you make me mad, so you didn't follow me. I'm the only God. I'm the only one. Ego-based craziness. And when you don't do it my way and you're obedient to me, I'm going to make sure you go hungry. And you'll even eat your own children. Kill your own people. Kill them people there. Why? They don't count me as their God. Narcissistic. Separate. Demiurge. Yada Baal. Yahweh. Besides me, there's no other. But jealous is a mofo. I'm a jealous God. Hey, if you have self-esteem and you're the only one, what are you jealous of? Sound like a human. Ignorance is not bliss when it comes to the demiurge. I look at this reality that we live in, and what I see is predator and prey. Demiurge. And then I look at the story of Jesus. He's not at all a Yahweh. He challenges the religious folks. He challenges the government. He challenges the politicians, the lawyers, the judges, and calls them that they're the father of the devil. And then says, your God is the God of this world, meaning the demiurge. I'm not in it. I'm not of it. I'm in it. Meaning I take my hands off the plow of this system. You say, why are you saying this? Because I'm just seeing more reality to me, especially recently living in California and seeing all the stuff that was done from for really 30-something, 60-something years, but let's just go recent, 2019, where they started threatening a lot of stuff and taking things from people if they didn't do a certain thing, googa, juby, you know what I'm talking about. And being so damn liberal that it's pathetic and sickening. Almost to a place where it was driving me that common sense is the right. And they got so far left, you have to go right to get some common sense, right? But then I really had to take notice and not go so far being hurt by the emotions of what happened and realize something I always knew. 2 wings, 1 bird, the same. And I started realizing it now. Not that I'm justifying anything that I seen liberal. I mean, personally, can't stand liberals. That's still a personal thing, but I've seen what, when you look at it, it's gone so far. It's not your great grandmothers and great grandfathers Democratic Party in the left of the center. This thing's so far left that it's like, what the hell are you talking about, you dippy do? Stupid. I mean, and that's how it is. But here's what I'm going to tell you what I feel is happening now. If you're paying attention to the news, you realize things just came out just the last 3 days. I haven't did a video on them. Japan openly said what this caused. The boo caused people. People in Japan and Asia are very, very obedient to leadership. That's why you don't see them. In Japan, they are on the streets demonstrating, which is not norm for Asian countries to be that, what they were doing. And it was all about 2020 and on, what they were seeing there with family members, right? I've experienced that too. Another thing that really made me mad and angry, what I've seen done to family members of mine who didn't know. Definitely. I got fired I can't have fire, and that's the thing I got to guard against with me. And I sometimes see when I don't, that my dark side, definitely, I embrace it. And I know that I can embrace a little bit more of a balance in it. And the religions taught us not to embrace ourselves. They shatter us, fracture us by believing in things outside of you as being holding power. And then when you read the book of Revelation that says the people gave power to the beast, you're hooking that beast up and giving it power through your energy and your belief systems, not being knowers, not knowing. Checking out, this is the second part of this video, so definitely hit probably close to 30 minutes already again on the second part, which I think I'm around that in the first part. But this is being real. I'm off the cuff, coming from my heart. I really love and appreciate people. But here's what I feel. Since we live in such a reality that never goes to balance and harmony with nature, with the people are great, the people have more in common than they do separate. Stop your color. We're not crayons. Stop your white, black, brown. Get that mess out of your head. That's mess. That's program mess. We have more in common. We all got 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head. 5-pointed star. Venus. Actually, Venus is Lucifer. Mentioned that before. Somehow they correlated it now in their satanic rituals and stuff as Venus is the male and the devil. So, you know, that's conjured up stuff anyway, so stop there. Is what's being pushed, because this stuff is coming to a head. It's either a civil war or a switch, right? You're going to get a switch. You already see it. What Japan said on Saturday, what happened this weekend, what Fauci admitted, right? And then what Florida did yesterday. Florida made some 3 acronyms, terrorist organizations to the state of Florida. Yeah. Which were so embraced before, which were running us. Yeah. I believe we're going to go to the other side, meaning you're going to have some peace as it starts going, because it's going to go all the way left. This is my left. It's going left. It's going left. Common sense is being implemented. Common sense is more implemented. Common sense is more implemented. Wow, we got some common sense coming here. We're centered, but because we live in a reality doesn't say centered. It's a pendulum swing. It doesn't say it's a demiurge. It's going to keep going the other way. And then what happens when you go all the way the other way, just as far right as just as far left, are both not good, because it's about balance. Any harmonious, revelated person knows this whole experience we're trying to do is learn to balance ourselves into a balanced state of being. Balanced, because if you're heavy left or heavy right, spiritually, mentally, if you're heavy either way, guess what you are? You're in judgment. That is not your creative being. Your creative being is to be in neutral. How hard is it to be in neutral? Look at your car. How often do you use the neutral gear in your car? Think about it. How often do you use the neutral gear in your car? How often? Not much. Why? But you do use it when you get a car cleaning. When you go to a place to clean your car, right? Not when you clean it at home. When you go to a car wash, or you wash it through a car wash facility, they always ask you to put your car in neutral. And then you coast through their machinery into what? Cleaning your car. What are you saying, D-boy? Your car represents balance of neutral because you're cleaning your karma. Karma is your vehicle, like your car is your outside of yourself vehicle. It's your outside physical vehicle. Your karma is your vehicle, your energetic field. What do you draw to yourself? Do you draw ignorance? Do you draw hokum? Do you draw more sadness? Do you draw more anxiety, or do you draw creative balance, harmony, gratitude by what you put out in your field? Is what you put, what karma comes back and slaps you with. And we all have weaknesses. We all been slapped. A song by John Lennon said, instant karma will slap you for your face. It'd tear that joker up. Meaning you got to get it. I believe we'll go so far right, we'll see another thing. Go watch. I'm not going to go into, go watch. And I'm surprised it doesn't have more watches. I really do. You guys need to go watch Coronis Apollos Eclippius video I did, which really opened up my eyes, and things archaics through that really opened up my eyes, where I was like, what did he get that from? And I had to go study it out, and I go, wow. It harmonized with the 9th chapter of the book of Revelation. Yes, it did. Go watch that video and you'll know what I'm talking about. It's about the riders, right? In the apocalypse of the seals being broken. And number 2 is taking peace from the earth. But before you get peace from the earth, you get implanted with, maybe as we go from way far left till we go to common sense, we go, oh my God, finally, things are coming out that we knew. And I'm telling you, this book of Revelation isn't for people to get hammered where they think they're the end, the apocalypse. That word apocalypse, that word revelation means a revealing of that which is hidden. It's for you to wake up. And them that are unawakened to get out of their sleeping, slumbering mess. Or their eyes that don't see and ears that don't hear. And mouth that can't speak truth. And quit being the monkey see, monkey do. Monkey hear, monkey see, monkey do. Say. Waking up to who you really are. Be strong. That's my take on what we'll end up seeing through the process. Don't be surprised if you see some of it through the week of the Olympics. Remember, there's wars going on, and this is kind of why I'm not going to go deep into it, but go watch that video about my video. I made it. Apollos, because this ties it in. Apollos. Coronis, and Eclippius. And the centaurs in that too. I forgot the centaur's name. But yeah, I think we got a little bit on the second part. I just wanted to share from the heart. I just wanted you guys to know that a lot of things have happened, and a lot of things that are happening. A lot of things have fractured us through even our dark side, which could be our inner child. That dark side of us needs to be embraced, because it's been pushed aside into the closet, into the back where it's really dark, to avoid it. And sometimes we did this for necessity at times, so we wouldn't be bogged down, that we could push it aside within ourselves. We almost needed to in certain parts of our life, or we might have been really a mess if we didn't. If you don't push these traumas down, but you have to go back and deal with the trauma, because that will have that shadow self come out at times, and you see it. And it's really the embracing of the yin and yang. Is light comes from darkness, they're one. So you don't know light until you have darkness, because the only thing that makes the darkness light is the light shining from the darkness. That's the womb. But anyways, I know that I'm kept going. I can keep going. But man, I just had to share the story, my story. This is 40 minutes, if not a little longer, so I'm going to cut it here. You guys have an awesome rest of your day. I will be doing some other stuff. I'm going to do another music video. There's one coming out here in about an hour or so from when I'm recording this. Less than an hour, 40 minutes. Yeah, that video will be coming out, and that will be decoding another song. That's gonna decode another song. I have a word of the day that you will see before this called coincide, right? Coincide, coincidence. Is it coincide or coincidence? We're gonna go into that, which actually that means. And it's gonna show you where it tried to give us the other side meaning within the etymology, which wasn't, 60 to, was it 40 to 80 years later, it tried to give that, which that's not the original meaning of it. That's not the frequency, that's something somebody tried to put in. But this shows a more connectivity of the connected vibe that this show is really about. But that will be a word of the day. Got some other things coming too. Another song we're gonna break down. Besides the song you're gonna get, it's gonna be released. It's gonna be "Murder by Numbers" by the Police from the movie "Murder by Numbers," which will be out in roughly 40 minutes. You guys have a great day.